All right, so my Otter half, chapter 2. This one's called Lucy. Lucy Carmichael hummed as she browsed the cherry selection at the Kingston Farmers Market. Well, she tried to browse. It was a little hard to do with the 30 pounds of squirming brown fur in her arms. "Do you have any Rainiers left?" she asked the smiling woman in the Bernice Berry orchid apron. "I think I might." The woman ducked behind the boxes of shiny red Bing and Chilean cherries. She reappeared a moment later holding a small container. "It's your lucky day," she said cheerfully. "This is the last of the season." So Lucy's a little girl. The sight of the Rainier cherries, bright yellow with a deep pink blush, made Lucy's mouth water. "Thank you," she said, trying in vain to pull out the $5 bill folded in her pocket. "Just a sec. Franklin, hold still." The woman's smile widened as Lucy struggled to cling to her overly enthusiastic puppy. "He's so cute. Is he a dachshund?" "Yes." Lucy finally extracted the bill and handed it over. "He's 10 months old." Franklin grinned up at her, his tongue hanging out. One of his long brown ears had flopped back, and his collar had loosened a little and spun around so the tags hung off to the side. So Franklin is her dog. "Poor little guy just wants to play," the woman cooed, reaching out and tickling Franklin under the chin. "I just love his little beard." "He's extra hyper because he took his first ferry ride today," Lucy explained as the woman tucked the bill into the pocket of her apron. "We live on Whidbey Island." "Ah, how exciting!" The woman came around to the table to tuck the container of cherries into the tote bag that hung from Lucy's arm. "You know, we've got a great little off-leash dog park right on the water. It's just up that way." She pointed, and Lucy turned to look at the sound. Sure enough, she could see a dozen or so furry bodies with wagging tails, all climbing over driftwood or splashing in the water. "Thank you," Lucy said, wrapping both arms around a wiggly Franklin and kissing the top of his head. "We'll check it out." But she walked in the opposite direction of the dog park. Lucy couldn't imagine letting Franklin off the leash. Even on the leash, he was a handful. He's practically dislocated Lucy's shoulder the first time he had seen a squirrel. If she ever let him run free, Lucy was positive that Franklin would run for hours before he even realized he wasn't there. Or she wasn't there. Sounds a little bit like Olympia, who's controlling of her son, right? So Lucy's a little controlling of Franklin. "Lucy, over here!" Lucy stood on tiptoe, looking around the crowd, milling from booth to booth. Finally, she spotted her mother's auburn hair and bright pink sound marine lab shirt at a coffee kiosk. "1 cold brew, extra cream," said a guy in a backward blue cap, holding out a mason jar filled with coffee. "Bring this jar back when you visit, and you can get half off any drinks." "Thank you so much," Mom said, before taking a huge sip and turning to Lucy. "Any luck with the cherries?" "Got the last Rainiers," Lucy said, hugging Franklin closer as he batted his paws at Mom. "Ouch, Franklin, I think we need to trim your nails." "Or you could just put him down," Mom said wryly. "Loose, hun, he needs his exercise." "I know." "Here, want me to take his leash?" "No, that's okay." Reluctantly, Lucy set Franklin down, then wrapped his leash around her hand 3 times. They began to walk toward the water. The excited puppy yipped and pranced around Lucy's feet. "I think there's a dog park somewhere around here," Mom suggested. "Why don't we—" "No way," Lucy said. Her stomach flipped over at the thought. "He's too young, Mom. We're still training him to come when we call him, and he doesn't always do it. What if he runs off and we can't catch him? What if he gets in a fight with another dog?" Lucy had been taking a training class with Franklin. It was not going well. He followed the commands sometimes, but if he was distracted by something, which happened a lot, it was like he couldn't even hear Lucy at all. Mom sighed. Okay. But let's give him a good walk before we get back in the car, all right? It's going to be a long wait for the ferry." "Okay," Lucy agreed. The wind whipped her hair out of its ponytail as they strolled down the pier. Lucy took a deep breath, enjoying the briny, salty seawater smell. It was an unusual, cloudless day, and she could see the snow-capped Olympic mountain range in the distance. Franklin spotted a few seagulls and lunged so hard that Lucy stumbled several steps before regaining her balance. Mom laughed. "Here, give me a turn," she said, and this time Lucy handed the leash over. She giggled as Mom jogged ahead, struggling not to spill her coffee as Franklin pumped his short legs as fast as he could. Shaking out her sore hand, Lucy walked up to the railing and gazed out at the water. A girl on a jet ski soared past, and farther north toward Whidbey Island, Lucy could see a tanker moving slowly but steadily into the Sound. There were a ton of sailboats out today, and a red and white whale watching boat with ABZ Tours painted on the side. Oh, Lucy stood up straight. Her heart suddenly pounded. She grabbed the railing and leaned out as far as she dared, her eyes scanning the people on the boat. They were too far away for her to see their faces, but there, at the front of the boat, a flash of familiar auburn hair. Zach. Lucy's big brother had graduated from high school in May. The last time she had seen him had been the day after the ceremony, when he had walked out of the house with a backpack and a suitcase without looking back. Things had been totally normal last fall. As far as Lucy could tell, 7th grade was a lot more fun than 6th, mostly because Lucy had joined her school's videography club. Mom surprised her with Franklin for her birthday in November. Zach seemed to be having a great senior year, and he got accepted to 4 universities. Everything had been perfect. But after the holidays, Zach surprised everyone by telling Mom that he didn't want to go to college. That's when everything had gone south. At first, Lucy thought Zach was being ridiculous. Why wouldn't he want to go to college? What was he going to do? Lounge around and play video games all day? She sat silently at the dinner table, night after night, too anxious to eat, as Mom and Zach argued. Then one day, over spring break, Lucy and Zach had taken Franklin for a walk along the beach, and she had finally asked her brother what in the world he was thinking. "I don't need a degree to do what I want to do," Zach had told her, throwing a large flat rock way out in the water. "I get where Mom's coming from, but there's no point in waiting for 4 years to start my business." "What business?" Lucy asked, baffled. Zach's eyes lit up. "Me and Alex and Bryson are starting an adventure tour company. Kayaking, hiking, river rafting, whale watching." And he had launched into a lengthy description of how the business would work. Lucy had listened, her confusion turned to enthusiasm and admiration. Zach had obviously already put a lot of work and thought into this. He and his friends had started working on their plan last summer, and Zach was so excited about it, it was hard not to feel excited for him. But clearly, Mom felt differently. The arguments had only gotten worse as summer drew closer. Lucy didn't dare take Zach's side in front of Mom, even though she secretly thought his company was an awesome idea. But she couldn't help but wish Zach would at least try to see Mom's side too. Sometimes it seemed like he was trying to pick a fight with her, and neither of them noticed how anxious their arguing made Lucy. The tension in the house was unbearable all through May, and when Zach finally stormed out for good, it was almost a relief. Except Lucy missed her big brother terribly. He still texted her every day, and they video chatted every once in a while. But that wasn't the same as seeing him in person. It wasn't like he had moved to another state. She knew he was staying with his friend Alex at Edmonds, which wasn't that far from Whidbey. But Zach's anger at Mom was apparently bigger than his desire to hang out with his little sister, which hurt Lucy's feelings. If she was being honest. But at least Zach was happy now, and Lucy didn't have to hide in her bedroom and watch YouTube videos with the volume all the way up to drown out the yelling. "This little dude can run." Lucy jumped, startled, as Mom appeared at her side. She was panting almost as hard as Franklin, whose little tongue lolled out to the side. Lolled means it just hung out to the side. Mom, look at that tanker," Lucy said, her voice coming out strangely high-pitched. Mom handed her the leash and wiped the sweat from her forehead as she turned to look in the opposite direction of the ABZ Tours boat. Lucy held the leash loosely. her hands shaking slightly. She didn't want Mom to see Zach. "Franklin, sit," she said, and the puppy planted his back end on the pier. "Stay." The one and only time Lucy had dared to bring up Zach this summer had been when the new season of Skyrider, the only show all three of them loved, had come out in July. Lucy and Mom had watched the first few episodes together, but it wasn't the same without Zach's sarcastic commentary. Later that night, she had heard Mom crying in her bedroom. "I see it," Mom said, gazing at the tanker. "Hey, can I have a few of those cherries?" "Sure." Lucy glanced nervously at Zach's boat as she rummaged in her tote. It was farther away now, but she could still see his auburn hair. "Here you go. Franklin, I have something for you too." Lucy pulled out a little bag of gourmet dog treats she had bought at the market. "Here you..." Lucy trailed off, staring down at the leash, which was connected to Franklin's collar, which was lying on the pier, and Franklin was nowhere to be seen. So I don't know what's happened to Franklin, but a new character is introduced. Lucy, Franklin is the dog, Lucy's the girl, her mom, we don't have a name for her, and Zach, her brother. Okay, end of chapter 2.